The Texarkana killer ran amok from February to July of 1946. In fact, the events were so scary and they terrified the small town so much that an actual whole-ass horror movie was based on the events. This is the story of the town that dreaded sundown. No, come here and love me. Do this first. Gotta do this first. So the small town of Texarkana had 4 railways and 2 airports that constantly brought tourists and new employees into the town. As a result, there was a major influx of travelers in the 1940s. This led to a rise in population as well as a rise in crime. In fact, Texarkana saw a string of murders a few years before the Phantoms. And so I think to myself, everybody should have been on guard, right? And so I guess Texarkana just sort of adopted the whole we're a Wild West town thing. The Phantoms' first attack was on February 22nd, 1946. Now, it had been an otherwise quiet night when Sheriff Presley of Texarkana, the Texas side, by the way, because one side of Texarkana is Texas and the other side is Arkansas. So it had been a relatively quiet night in Texarkana when Sheriff Bill Presley got a call that there was a couple that had been attacked. The site of the attack was a dirt road that was dubbed Lover's Lane. The victims of the attack was a young couple named Jimmy Hollis and Mary Jean Leary. Now, when police made it out to the scene of the attack, Hollis was so injured that he could barely stay conscious, let alone explain what had happened. Now, Larry and Hollis were taken to the hospital to have their injuries attended to while the police scanned the crime scene, but they didn't find any useful evidence, and there's a good, not very good reason for that. But more on that in a whole minute. See, the only description that the police had to go off of the attacker was that he was a 6-foot-tall man, relatively thin, and he was wearing a pillowcase over his head with the eyes and nose cut out. Now, at the time of the initial attacks, the Texarkana police really had no idea what they were going to be in for, and they were totally unprepared for investigating crime scenes because they hadn't been really well trained in handling evidence and stopping contamination from entering a crime scene. And really, one of the biggest initial mistakes that Sheriff Presley made was that he didn't take the crime seriously. At the time, Sheriff Presley was so concerned with keeping race relations in check that he didn't feel it was necessary to put out a lot of information regarding what he thought was a one-time attack. But on March 24th, 1946, the Phantom struck again. This time, a father and son discovered the bodies of Richard Griffith and Polly-Ann Moore. Moore and Griffith had been shot execution style with a .38 caliber gun. Now, Griffith was positioned on the back seat floor of the car, his pants down around his ankles and his pockets pulled out. Moore was found face down on the back seat with her purse having been rifled through. And now, I'm not going to get into the sordid details of it because even if I did, I would need a trigger warning. But it soon became apparent to police, due to blood outside the vehicle, that Moore and Griffith were killed outside the vehicle and then moved and positioned inside the vehicle. At any rate, due to citizens tampering with the crime scene and, inept police work, there was once again no real evidence at the crime scene. Then, on April 14th, 1946, a woman named Bessie woke up with a sudden jolt of mother's intuition. And I mean, let's face it, that's almost never wrong. Bessie Brown woke up only to realize that her daughter did not return home after a gig where she was playing the saxophone the night before. And despite feeling like Bessie was just kind of being a little paranoid, her husband started making phone calls in an attempt to find her daughter. Bessie's husband quickly discovered that his stepdaughter, Betty Jo Baker, never arrived at a sleepover that she was supposed to attend the night before. Now, maybe mother's intuition isn't being paranoid. Maybe there's some sus activity going on, Now, that same morning, a Texarkana family discovered the body of Paul Martin on the side of North Park Road. Martin had been shot 4 times, once in the neck, once in the shoulder, in the hand, and in his face. Martin's car was located about a mile away from where his body was found. And unfortunately for Bessie, Betty Jo's body was found about 1.7 miles away from where Martin's body was found. And after searching the crime scene, Texarkana police once again found .32 caliber bullets at the crime scene. Now, on May 3rd, 1946, a family by the name of Stark, consisting of a husband and wife, Virgil and Kate, were just at home relaxing. Kate had left Virgil to relax in his armchair while she did some cleaning. While Kate was away, she heard some, strange noises and went to investigate. What she found was that Virgil had been shot twice, once in the back of the head and once in his lower back. And the shooter wasn't even inside the house. They shot through the window and still hit the poor guy. Needless to say, when Kate found her husband dead in his armchair, she flipped out. But she didn't have time for freaking out because suddenly she was being hit by bullets. 2, in fact, in the face. So Kate took off to her bedroom where she hid and called police. Authorities came, they helped her out, took her to the hospital, and Kate survived the ordeal. By now, thank goodness, the Texarkana police had enlisted help from the Texas Rangers and the FBI, who were just, slightly better at processing crime scenes than the Texarkana police. Law enforcement went through over 1,000 suspects before they got a tip that led them to Yul Swinney and his wife, Peggy. Now, Yul had been in all kinds of trouble in the past, from stealing cars to not paying his rent, which basically already had him on a shit list. Now, authorities had a hard time finding Yul, but they did find his wife, Peggy, without much of an issue, and they brought her in for questioning. Now, at the time of questioning, Peggy told the police that she had no idea where her husband was. But Peggy did have details about the Lover's Lane murders that nobody other than the killer or somebody else involved should really know. On top of that, and to make guilty seem even guiltier, Peggy told stories to police officers that basically put her and her husband in the vicinity of all the murders. And actually, in her second statement, Peggy told police officers that her husband explained to her that he had stolen goods from the crime scenes. At any rate, Yul Swinney was on the run for about a month before police finally picked him up. And then, upon his capture, Yul continually said to police, "Don't shoot me! Don't shoot me!" Which was kind of weird because he had actually been picked up for stealing cars. So, on July 14th, 1947, Swinney was indicted. Swinney. His name's Swinney, not Sweeney. Swinney. Swinney was indicted on car theft charges and for being a habitual criminal. Now, lack of evidence actually made it impossible for police to pin any of the murders on Swinney. Still, due to that whole habitual criminal thing, he received a life sentence in prison. Now, if the fact that he was convicted not of murders, but car theft and just being a general criminal isn't horrible enough, the man petitioned the court constantly to release him from prison. And after 26 years, they finally let him out. So Swinney died a free man outside of prison in a nursing home at the ripe old age of 77. And shockingly enough, the Phantom Killer never killed again. That's all I've got for you for today on the literal town that dreaded sundown. Give me just a second. I'm going to put on some lashes and I'll be right back with your final look. Alright guys, I'm back and this is your final look. Do you like it? I'm loving it! Anyway guys, I hope that you had fun with the true story of the town that dreaded sundown. I hope that you'll come back and see me next time. Don't forget to click like and click subscribe. And remember to always love yourselves, always be a unicorn. I'll see you next time. Bye!